Sara grew up in a small town where everyone knew everyone's name. She was a sweet, shy girl with big blue eyes and a gentle smile. But there was one thing that made Sara different from the other kids. On the right side of her face, from her cheek to her chin, was a dark red birthmark. She hated that birthmark. Every morning, when she looked in the mirror, her eyes would go straight to it. It didn't matter if she combed her hair perfectly or wore her favorite dress. The first thing she noticed was always the birthmark. As a child, other kids teased her about it, calling her names like stain face or red spot. It hurt Sara deeply, and every time she heard their laughter, she felt more and more like she didn't belong. Her parents tried to comfort her, telling her the birthmark didn't define who she was. But to a little girl, the words didn't help much. She grew quieter and more withdrawn, preferring to play alone rather than with the other kids who made her feel different. She often sat by herself during recess, staring at the grass, wishing she could just be like everyone else. As Sara grew older, things didn't get much better. In high school, she tried to cover her birthmark with makeup. She wanted to feel beautiful, even if just for a little while. But no matter how much she tried to hide it, she always felt that people were looking at her birthmark instead of seeing her for who she really was. She avoided school dances and social events, always afraid that someone would point it out or laugh behind her back. But despite the sadness that followed her through her early years, Sara was smart. She worked hard in school, pushing through the pain she felt, and when she graduated, she went to college. After years of study, she found herself with a well-paying job in marketing. It wasn't her passion, but it provided her with financial stability and a sense of accomplishment. One day, Sara met a man named Mark at a work event. He was funny, kind, and made her feel at ease. What struck her most was that he didn't seem to care about her birthmark. Mark saw her for who she was, a thoughtful, caring, and hard-working woman. They started dating, and slowly, Sara began to feel more comfortable in her own skin. Though she still had moments where she wished she looked different, life had become more bearable. The kids at school had been replaced by supportive co-workers and a loving boyfriend. For the first time in a long time, Sara felt like she could be happy. But strange things began happening to her, things she couldn't quite explain. She started noticing little coincidences that felt like more than just random events. She saw 22:22 on the clock very often. It was like the universe was trying to communicate with her. She would think of a friend she hadn't spoken to in years, and they would call her the next day. She would dream about a place she'd never been, only to see it on TV the following week. Sara wasn't sure what was going on, but she couldn't ignore the feeling that there was something deeper happening beneath the surface of her life. In her free time, she began watching videos about spirituality, meditation, and the universe's hidden mysteries. One video in particular caught her attention. It featured a spiritual guru talking about something called non-duality. The guru explained that the world we experience is like a dream created by our minds. He said that beyond our thoughts and our egos, there was something greater, a pure, boundless consciousness that connected everything and everyone. This consciousness wasn't separate from the world, but one with it. The guru said that when we let go of our ego, the part of us that identifies with our thoughts and our bodies, we can experience true enlightenment. Something about his words struck a chord deep within Sara. She had always felt so attached to the way she looked, to her birthmark, and to the sadness it had brought her. She had never even considered that there could be a part of her that was beyond those things, something infinite and unchanging. One evening, while watching another video from the same guru, Sara felt something shift inside her. The guru was talking about how we are not our bodies, our names, or our stories. We are the awareness that observes it all. As she listened, a feeling of overwhelming peace washed over her. It was as if her mind had gone completely silent. She looked around her room and for the first time felt that she was one with everything in it. The walls, the plants, the air. It was all connected, and she was part of it. There was no separation between her and the world. In that moment, Sara experienced a glimpse of enlightenment. After that day, her life was never the same. At first, everything felt magical. She saw beauty in the simplest things. A flower blooming, a bird singing, even the sound of rain tapping on the window. She no longer felt defined by her birthmark or by the opinions of others. She was just present. When she looked in the mirror, she no longer saw a woman with a birthmark. She saw a person filled with love, awareness, and compassion. Mark noticed that Sara had changed. She was calmer, more relaxed. She smiled more and didn't seem to worry as much about the little things that used to bother her. She had a new sense of peace, and it was contagious. But as time went on, something else began to happen, something Sara hadn't expected. After her initial awakening, Sara went through what is often called the dark night of the soul. The feeling of oneness she had experienced started to fade, and in its place came a deep sense of emptiness. She felt lost and confused. The things that used to make her happy, her job, her relationship, her hobbies, no longer gave her the same satisfaction. It was as if her old self had died, but a new self had not yet fully emerged. Some days she would wake up feeling like a stranger in her own life. She felt isolated, even from Mark, who tried to understand what she was going through but couldn't quite grasp it. Sara found it difficult to put her feelings into words, and this made her feel even more alone. But despite the darkness, Sara knew deep down that this was part of her journey. She had read that many spiritual seekers go through a period of intense confusion and loneliness after awakening as they let go of their old identities. It wasn't easy, but Sara trusted that she was moving towards something greater. Slowly, as weeks and months passed, Sara began to integrate her new understanding of the world. She realized that the emptiness she felt wasn't something to fear. It was a space for new growth, for new love, for new ways of being. She stopped trying to push the darkness away and instead embraced it as part of her transformation. She started meditating more, sitting quietly with her thoughts and feelings without judgment. She practiced gratitude, focusing on the things she appreciated in life, no matter how small. And gradually, she began to feel lighter. The heaviness in her heart started to lift, and she found herself smiling again. Not because everything was perfect, but because she was learning to accept life exactly as it was. Sara's relationship with Mark grew stronger during this time. Although he couldn't fully understand what she was going through, he supported her in every way he could. He loved her not for her appearance or for what she could do for him, but for the person she was becoming, someone grounded in love, compassion, and understanding. By the time Sara emerged from her dark night of the soul, she was a changed woman. She no longer felt like she was at the mercy of her thoughts or her emotions. She saw her ego for what it was, a tool, something she could use to navigate the world, but not something that defined her. She was no longer ruled by her fears or insecurities. Her birthmark, which had once caused her so much pain, now seemed like a small, insignificant detail in the grand scheme of things. Sara had found a new sense of purpose in life. She began volunteering at a local shelter, helping others who felt lost or unwanted. She had learned through her own journey that the most important thing we can do is love ourselves, and she wanted to share that message with others. She had also found a deeper connection to the world around her. She no longer felt separate from others or from nature. She understood that everything was interconnected, and this brought her a profound sense of peace. In the end, Sara's journey wasn't about losing herself. It was about finding her true self. And as she continued to walk her path, she knew that no matter what challenges came her way, she would face them with love, acceptance, and an open heart.